everybody, my name is Zach, aka the Weather Gamer, bringing you Week 2 WWC, the matches of the week. Again, I had two really good matches this week. I couldn't pick which one I wanted to use as my match of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and go with two. The first of the matches is the Ottawa Centrets, coached by Spare Ample versus Pokemon Champion 323 and the Dragonites. Again, I know the video quality isn't the greatest. I don't have video editing software currently, so what I produce is regularly through recording is what it's going to be for now until I get some money or find a free video editing software of simplicity, because I am not tech savvy. I'm also working on the lighting situation as well as double checking some various other things, so the video quality will get better. I figured out how to do thumbnails, so there should be a thumbnail on this video as well as all videos going forward, so hopefully that's at least a step above from the previous week, because the first week I didn't have music. The second week I didn't have a thumbnail. So we're making progress. The videos should be getting better. It's just slowly working my way into it. So to start it off, the Centrets bringing Megalodios, Magearna, Medicham, Raikou, Arcanine, and Zarina up against Pokemon Champions Infernape, Primarina, Megalopunny, Garchomp, Savali, which I could not identify the type right off the bat, but to me it looks like it might be Savali Flying, maybe? Or not Flying. Flying's light blue. What's white? Savali White. Savali Steel? Just based on the team preview and Reuniclus. So, instantly I see if Trick Room comes up, it's going to be very interesting because Reuniclus and Magearna both function very well under Trick Room. So to start it off, pardon me. One moment, I forgot to mute the tabs. Sorry about this. This is where I need video editing software. Okay. So starting off, we have Megalopunny versus Zapdos or Raikou. Interesting lead choice. Lopunny I didn't think was the best lead in my mind, with the threat of Latias potentially psychicking. It could put some major damage into the Lopunny, but overall worked out. So we're going to see a switch into Arcanine just to try and get the Intimidate to weaken the Lopunny since it is such a brutal attacker. And then Savali comes in, and it is Savali Ghost. So second week in a row that the Dragonites have brought Savali Ghost. My biggest thought, Savali Ghost comes, it's to deal with Latias and to deal with Medicham, being as they're both psychic types. It'll resist the psychic stab, and it will also do major damage with ghost type moves. The other thing I noticed, as I watched these over and over and over again to pick my match of the week, having the Rocky Helmet on the Arcanine was huge, because not only does the Intimidate drop the attack, but then the Rocky Helmet also punishes any physical attack that Lopunny goes for. So there's a bunch of switching to begin with, trying to get matches set the way they needed to be. Pokemon Champion was looking to try and get something in that would match up well and do major damage to whatever was switched in by Spare. Going for Will-O-Wisp on the Switch was great, because no matter what it hit, minus Reuniclus or Infernape, it was going to do some damage. It was going to cut something's attack down. Primarina wouldn't be too worried about it, because Primarina is generally a special attacker. However, everything else, it being physical, does not appreciate getting hit by Will-O-Wisp. And burning the Garchomp, assuming it's not Special Chomp, but burning Garchomp itself was a huge, huge, huge thing, because now its attack's been cut in half. So we're going to see here that we get a switch into Serena, which pretty much will wall Garchomp unless Garchomp's carrying a Fire-type move. And even then, it will still put up a good fight. And we see Garchomp go for a Swords Dance, trying to get back to neutral from getting burned, just so it can hit decently. That burn's also chipping away. He goes for a sub, thinking that he can keep the sub up and maybe set up a Dragon Dance or another Swords Dance, but Drop Kick keeps that out. Unleashes the Z move. Now, I don't know if this was just really poor RNG, or if Zarina is just this bulky, or if the burn was causing this to happen, but that Devastating Drake did not OHKO the Zarina. The Zarina lives on 1 HP, just a sliver of health, and can still set off attacks. Granted, rough skin on the Garchomp finishes off. However, it did get a Drop Kick off to continue to lower the Garchomp's attack. I can see what I think Spare was trying to do with the Zarina, which was to keep anything trying to set up attack boosts in check by dropping its attack with Drop Kicks. So Raikou comes in, not really a typical matchup, however, HP Ice. So I don't know if Pokemon Trainer just stayed in, not expecting HP Ice, or if he just decided that a burned Garchomp wasn't worth keeping around at that low of health. Regardless, Garchomp goes down. That is a pretty major threat to this team to fall relatively early in the match. Lopunny comes out, threatens with return, does huge damage. Extra Sensory from the Raikou, which was, to me, a very smart play to bring Psychic moves on as many Mons that could carry it potentially, just for this Lopunny. Once again, switching out of Raikou into the Arcanine to drop the attack on the Lopunny. So we see a return come off, does about a decent chunk. However, that Rocky Helmet again coming in play, knocking out another Mon, or knocking out the Mega Lopunny. So there's two very huge wall breakers, including a very fast wall breaker in Lopunny to go down to Spare. So in comes Primarina to replace Lopunny. Obviously that forced the Arcanine to switch out, because Arcanine does not appreciate water-type moves. And it's pretty obvious what happens right here, with Primarina basically one-shotting Medicham. It had to be... Pardon me, I wish that didn't pop in that window. I'm pretty sure that had to be a Specs Primarina. I'm going to run the calc real quick, just to double check. It was either Medicham, All-Out Attacker, versus Prima. Let's say it's Specs. Yeah, so Scald kills. Oh, but it went first. So maybe that wasn't Specs. Let's choice Scarf. Choice Scarf. Primarina. Nope. That had to have been a Specs Primarina, based on the damage. That's the only way Scald would OHKO a Medicham, is to be Specs. I thought maybe Scarf because it outsped Medicham. However, if Medicham was more attacker and did not have speed investment, which is my thought, because full speed Jolly Metacham actually outspeeds Primarina, which would make me think it was Scarfed. However, my guess is Spare didn't. Is it Spare or Sparse, now that I think about it? That might be really embarrassing on my part if I've been calling him the wrong name this entire time. Oh no, it is Spare. He's Sparse on here, but Spare on Discord. So that's the only way this Metacham would go down to a Scald, is from a Spexed Primarina. So obviously Primarina's choice Spexed. If Spare picked up on that, he knows he can basically force it to switch if he gets a decent matchup where it can't do anything. So Metacham goes down, in comes Raikou. Obvious play to bring Raikou in. Here comes Gummy Bear, the Reuniclus. Reuniclus is such an interesting mon to deal with. While it's very slow, the Regenerator ability and the high special attack help it switch in and out and punch holes and start trying to wall break, and that's why it's such a dangerous mon under Trick Room. So here comes Mega Latias. Mega Latias Calm Minds. Shadow Ball is a thing. There is a Shadow Ball right there. However, with the Calm Mind, he does survive it. Forces a switch into Savali. Another Calm Mind. My guess, the switch into Savali was to Parting Shot out, drop the special attack, and try and counter against some of these Calm Minds coming up. Otherwise, it was to Shadow Claw and try to hit physically, since the special defense was already being raised so high from 2 Calm Minds. However, Latias is carrying Stored Power. Stored Power one-shots the Savali, since he was +2 boost. This was actually a really cool set in my mind. It was a really, it wasn't something I was expecting to come. I thought maybe it'd be Calm Mind Psychic or something else, but Stored Power was a very nice play, very good play on Spare's part. That was an unexpected set, to say the least, in my mind when I was watching it, and I don't know if Champion was prepared for that. That was a very nice trick to pull out of the bag. So, obviously, we're going to get Primarina coming in. It's going to try and Moonblast. It's not enough. And 2 Stored Powers takes that out. So now the checks for Latias are really, really shrinking. If Latias is carrying Roost, which I don't know if it is or not at this point in the match, but if it was carrying Roost and was able to Roost up off of that damage, I don't really see anything coming in to beat Latias. Granted, Scarfed Infernape. That was the one thing I wasn't thinking about until after the move had happened. A Scarfed Infernape carrying U-Turn will take out the Latias. I don't know if a prediction was thought or not. I actually haven't talked to Spare about this match that much outside of right after it happened. I don't know if it was potentially worth sacking off the Raikou as it was sitting at 18% and keeping Latios around, excuse me. I don't know if Latios being able to come back in, say if it came in against the Reuniclus and could Roost, or do something. Obviously, it's going to be outsped by Scarf Ape, but if the Ape got locked into something else, then instead of U-turn by the switch, it would have potentially maybe swung how this game goes. I think letting Latias go down might have been a mistake, but that's just my own personal opinion. In the moment, it might have been the right decision just to let it go down. If it didn't carry Roost, it was obviously the right decision to let it go down. Unless it had Psychic, too. If it had Psychic over if it was only running Stored Power instead of Psychic, then maybe, yeah, that was a good way to just let it go down. But if it was carrying Psychic and you could catch the Infernape coming in on a switch, then you could have really hit that Scarfed Ape pretty hard, and any form of priority, such as such as Arcanine having priority could very easily have put major pressure on the Infernape. So going forward, in comes Gummy Bear, the Reuniclus. Raikou's gonna just try. Shadow Ball is all it can do. It's gonna go down. In comes the what am I trying to say? Magearna. So again, I didn't know if potentially this Gummy Bear was choice locked. I don't remember at this point when I rewatched the match if it was choice locked, but when I was first watching the match live, I saw Trick Room go up, and I was after Reuniclus Shadow Balled, and at the time, I didn't know Trick Room was negative priority. I thought Trick Room had just standard priority, wasn't the last move to go. So I thought, okay, Reuniclus is faster outside of Trick Room. Now Trick Room's up, he can outrun this Reuniclus and put the heat on it. Again, Shadow Ball is this choice specs. However, Magearna goes second, so this is a slower Reuniclus. That was great prep by Pokemon Champion, expecting potentially Trick Room from Magearna. I don't know if this was a min speed Magearna off the top of my head. If it wasn't, that was probably a misplay for Spare to set up Trick Room against this thing. If it was min speed, then there's nothing he can really do. Unfortunately, there was a Spadef drop on the Magearna, forcing it out, meaning that it could not Shadow Ball again. And unfortunately, that's where this game's gonna end, is on a haxed Shadow Ball drop, because Arcanine's gonna come in, it's gonna take a Shadow Ball to the face, it's gonna get another Spadef drop, and then Extreme Speed is not going to be enough. It lives on 1, but again, another Extreme Speed isn't going to kill because he's going to switch. Morning Sun isn't going to do enough, especially with Trick Room coming down. Had Trick Room been up for one more turn, it's possible the Arcanine could have done enough damage to this Infernape for it to not be an issue. However, it sets up, or it close combats, and that's basically where this game's going to end, with an Infernape, Scarfed Ape, close combat sweep. It really did come down to an unfortunate Spadef drop on the Magearna. Had the Magearna survived that Shadow Ball without the Spadef drop, Reuniclus goes down, Magearna gets +1 Soul Heart, Trick Room's still up against a Scarfed Ape, which isn't going to do anything being Scarfed in Trick Room, and Magearna Moonblasts it to pieces. So unfortunately, it was hacks in my mind that determined this game. Is a very well played game. I thought that Spare had this from the very beginning. It was really amazing that Pokemon Champion was able to pull this back. So all in all, this was a great game. This was very difficult for me to choose between the two games, and both these battlers played extremely well. And I actually am looking forward to my matches against both of them. So now that that match is over, I'm going to change real quick. And again, this is where, when I have video editing software in the future, this will be a lot nicer transitions, because you won't see me doing all these live edits. So we're going to change our team labels here. Let's see, who was this match? This was this team. This team. Alright, so our second match that was tied for contender for match of the week in my mind is SV Tornado and the Dutch Pyroars versus that the Blazing Savage. I got his name wrong the first time, and I'm working on that, and I apologize, Savage. I think it's that, like D-A-T, and it's the Blazing Savage, and the Baltimore Murkrows. So immediately from the Pyroars, we see Pyroar, Hydreigon, Tapu Bulu, Aegislash, Nidoqueen, and Darmanitan. On Savage's side, the Murkrow side, we see Alolan Muck, Mega Venusaur, Diancie, Suicune, Necrozma, and Incineroar. Once again, a very, very bulky team for the Murkrows. And on the Pyroar side, we actually have a very, very offensive team. Like, this team looks like it's ready to break down these walls. So, starting, Nidoqueen comes out. Unfortunately for Torn, it was a poor lead matchup. I don't know if he was predicting the Muck or the Incineroar, potentially. Unfortunately, Suicune comes out, which immediately puts pressure onto the Nidoqueen and is going to force it out. So in comes Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu, obviously great matchup. The Scald takes, doesn't care at all, and then sets up a Swords Dance in front of Venusaur. Now, my question here is, Mega Venusaur is very bulky, +2 attack. I don't know. Obviously, a Fairy move won't do it. A Grass move won't be effective because it's a negative hit. So it's got to be a Rock or Fighting type move that could do any damage. I wouldn't have stayed in if it was my mind. There were several things that could take a Sludge Bomb, because more than likely that's what was going to come out of the Venusaur. Nidoqueen might have been a safe play. Aegislash would have been a great play, being part Steel type. The only thing, even Earthquake wouldn't do it because of Grassy Terrain cutting the Earthquake in half. So, unfortunately, we see Z Continental Crush does not kill. Sludge Bomb, Retaliate kills. Retaliate and kills the Bulu. So, it was a poison move to come out. It did OHKO. Maybe going Aegislash would have saved it. However, this just, I don't know. This was a weird sequence, weird 3-turn sequence for me as a spectator. I'm sure Torn has obvious reasons for keeping, or for letting Bulu go down. I'm sure he had plenty of other things to deal with. The Suicune, which was mainly what the Bulu was going to check. So in comes Pyroar. Obviously, my thoughts, Pyroar's got to be Specs. That's about the only thing. Specs Hyper Voice just breaks through walls, and as it turns out, it was Specs. Unfortunately, he got a low roll on the second hit with the Specs, so the Incineroar lived and was able to knock that off. Obviously, gonna just stay in, let it Hyper Voice twice, and then go down, putting huge amount of damage on the Suicune. In comes Hydreigon. Hydreigon against Incineroar, dropping the attack. Unfortunately, this is a special Hydreigon. Hydreigon versus the Water Doggo Suicune. Forces a switch. We see Rest on the Suicune just for more longevity. And here comes Muck. Muck against Aegislash. Very, very good play for the Murkrows and Savage because of the dark typing that's going to resist the Ghost Stab, and conversely, the Poison type moves aren't going to do anything, but a Knockoff, a Crunch, if it's running Poison Touch, that won't affect Aegislash. That's stupid of me. But definitely could do some harm with dark type moves. So Shadow Claw pops off, then Iron Head, 12%, and we see Figgy Berry getting him back up there. So if this is a recycle set, this is going to be a very long, painful time for Aegislash, because the Muck will just continue to recycle the Figgy Berry. And that's exactly, well, we see Curse first to get the attack and defense raised. Curse happens, recycle, get the Figgy Berry back, and now here we go. Ironhead's doing less each turn. Recycle, Figgy Berry. Now we're up to 71%. Sacred Sword still doesn't do enough. Knockoff kills. In comes Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen faster, Earthquake. Sorry, goodbye Muck. That Curse Recycle Muck could have been very, very dangerous had Torn made a switch sooner than he did and allowed the Muck to get another curse up, or potentially gotten more curses up before recycling. That Curse Muck may not have died. So getting rid of that as fast as he did was a great play by Torn. It's actually a great bring by Savage. He has a bulky team, and we don't have Toxic stalling to wear down bulky teams. It's really, really good play. So Suicune comes in, puts the pressure on. Nidoqueen's going to be forced out. In comes Ninja the Hydreigon. Sleep Talk Ice Beam. That is just very, very lucky RNG for Savage to get Ice Beam against a Dragon type. Like, that was just like throwing salt into a wound for Torn. And he gets the freeze. So he gets a freeze on the Ice Beam, basically forcing this Hydreigon to sit there and try and either thaw or let the Suicune burn its sleep turns. The freeze just was really bad. So we get another Sleep Talk. This time it Sleep Talks into Scald. Of all the moves that you didn't want to have Sleep Talked into, Scald would be the big one. You just froze this thing, you Scald and unfreeze it. You could have done Rest and nothing would have happened. You could have Ice Beamed, put more pressure on. But no, the RNG giveth and the RNG taketh. This time the RNG taketh the freeze and give a Scald. However, the RNG gives right back to Savage and burns this Hydreigon. So this Hydreigon in a 2-turn sequence has been Sleep Talk frozen to Scald burned. Like, it was an amazing set of RNG right there. An amazing set of hacks to get this to happen. Luckily, it's a special Hydreigon. Dark Pulse, it wakes up, and there's a flinch! So now, in 2 turns, we've had a Sleep Talk Ice Beam to freeze, a Sleep Talk Scald to burn, a Dark Pulse flinch. This was hacks upon hacks upon hacks. And another Dark Pulse. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that was a low roll as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a low roll. Unfortunately, the Suicune lives on 2% and is able to take down this Hydreigon with an Ice Beam. At this point, it looks really, really bad in my mind for Torn and the Pyroars. They're down 4-2 against a bulky team with Darmanitan and Nidoqueen, and Necrozma is still sitting there, and so is a full health Diancie. We see Darmanitan come in, it power-up punches, however, it does not get the boost. So this makes me think, okay, this is Sheer Force, and I don't know if Torn knew or not that Sheer Force negates the secondary effect, so Power-Up Punch didn't actually get the attack boost. If that's what you were trying to do, was run Sheer Force and Power-Up Punch, you might want to consider a different fighting type move in the future, because Power-Up Punch is only base 40, and you don't get the boost with Sheer Force. Flare Blitz. Yikes. Just basically comes in and OHKO's Twilight. So, I can't remember, this might be Life Orb, and Sheer Force, I know you don't take Life Orb recoil. So that was huge. There goes Necrozma. Nidoqueen is basically able to come in and sweep at this point if it can get in freely, because Necrozma's not there to Psychic it. So in comes Diancie, obviously the why can I not think of your name right now? Darmanitan is pressured by a Rock-type move, so it's going to switch. Here comes Nidoqueen. It's going to take Diamond Storms all day and heal up. And here comes Power Plant. Power Plant's not living in Earthquake. Sorry, Savage. At this point, it's Nidoqueen's show. Nidoqueen basically can run this game to the finish, as it will. That crit didn't matter at all. Earthquake was still going to two-shot it. And there you go. The Pyroars end up taking a 2-0 victory after falling down 4-2 there for a while. The bulk has been beaten. The bulky team has been proven that it can be beaten. And there we have our 2 matches of the week. As always, I stream, just same reminders as always, I do stream. I didn't stream this week. My brother went back to college, so I was dealing with that. But I do stream pretty regularly on Sundays. I should pick up more streaming days here when school starts for me, because I'll have more evenings to myself where I can stream. If you want to join the Discord server, it's free. Links in the description down below. You can follow me on Twitter to find out when I go live and just kind of keep up with my crazy shenanigans. And if you like the layout and the art, give Griffin Feathers, my wonderful, amazing artist, a follow on Twitter as well. He's an amazing dude, and he's super talented, so check him out as well. As always, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for the Week 2 recap, and the Week 3 will be starting here shortly. Week 3 is actually started. Not starting shortly. It's started. It's just when the video comes. It should be Thursday Team Builder. Friday should be the match. So, thanks for checking in. Check out the stuff below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.